Okay, this is number 2 in the Little Polar Bear series. This is called Ahoy There, Little Polar Bear. Lars the little polar bear lived with his mother and father near the North Pole, where everything was white for as far as the eye could see. Although he spent much of his time alone, he was very happy. Look, he's swimming, floating on his back. But one day when Lars swam quite far from his den, something terrible happened. Lars caught his foot, was pulled down deep into the sea, then yanked up in a gigantic net. Oh no. Lars was dropped to the ground with such a bang he fainted. When he awoke, he couldn't tell where he was. Above him was a ladder, so he climbed up the slippery rungs. Where do you think Lars is? Lars roamed the long hallways. It seemed he was all alone until something rustled behind him. As he turned around, 2 large eyes stared at him. Lars ran for his life. Just when he thought he was safe again, he heard a voice. "Don't be afraid. It's only me, Nemo the ship's cat. Welcome aboard." Lars looked up. Above him was a friendly-looking creature with orange fur. Lars could see that Nemo was an animal he could trust. "I'm Lars," said the little polar bear. "I'm trying to get home as soon as I can." "I'm afraid that isn't possible, at least not right now," Nemo said. "Your home is a long way from where we are now." "Where are we?" asked Lars. "We're on a ship, on our way back to port. Once we're there, I'll take you to see some friends who may be able to help. But until then, there isn't anything we can do. Why don't we get something to eat? I expect you're very hungry." When he had eaten, Lars felt much more cheerful. He curled up beside Nemo. He curled up beside Nemo and fell fast asleep. When they awoke, Nemo took Lars up to the deck. "Look," he said, pointing to the horizon, which was aglow with lights. "That's the port. We'll be there soon." Lars was so excited he could hardly wait to go ashore. When the ship had come into port, Lars eagerly followed Nemo onto the deck and looked over the plank. "Try to look inconspicuous," said Nemo. Inconspicuous means try to look like you belong here in the city. Well, does a polar bear belong in the city? I do not think so. What Lars found on the other side of the plank surprised and disappointed him. Everything was so untidy and dirty. "I'm afraid this isn't a very clean place," sighed Nemo. "We'd best hurry. Follow me around the back way. The streets are much too dangerous." As Lars and Nemo made their way through alleys and back streets, Lars's white coat became dirtier and dirtier. He wished more than ever that he was home again, where everything was clean and white. Look at how nasty dirty it is. There they go. Following Nemo over fences and along walls took all Lars's efforts. At last, Nemo stopped. "We have arrived," he announced. "Wait here a moment." It was very dark. Many eyes were staring at Lars. He grew quite nervous. But the eyes belonged to some more cats, who turned out to be just as friendly as Nemo. The cats looked grave as Nemo explained Lars's problem. They thought it over for a few minutes. Then a black and white cat stepped forward. "I'm Johnny, also a ship's cat," he said. "My ship is leaving for the Arctic tomorrow. We must get you on board before daylight." Look, this is where they're all talking about how they're going to get Lars back home. Lars, Johnny, and Nemo had to rush back through the alleys and backyards. Lars was so excited to be on his way home again, He forgot to watch where he was going and almost was hit by a truck. When Lars reached the ship, he said goodbye to Nemo quickly, for there was not much time. It was a sad moment. See, he's getting on the ship to go with Johnny. For Lars, the time on the ship passed quickly. It wasn't long before he spotted something wonderful on the horizon. "Look, Johnny," he shouted, "the North Pole! See how clean and white it is? I was once as clean and white as that." He doesn't look very clean right now, does he? That night when the ship anchored, Lars thanked Johnny and set off for the beautiful white shores of the North Pole. As Lars swam, the sea washed his fur clean. Once on shore, Lars ran for his den to greet his worried parents, who couldn't have been happier to see him. When Lars told his parents about his adventures, their mouths dropped open. "And this is what Nemo looks like," Lars explained as he tried his best to look like a cat. Although his parents were not sure they understood, they were so happy to have Lars home again, it didn't really matter. That night they all slept close together. After that day, Lars's father often found his son gazing out at the horizon. "What are you looking for?" he asked. "Ships," Lars said, "and cats too. Someday a cat might fall off a ship and come to visit us."